There has been an awakening. Have you felt it? Okay, I had to do a video about this so-called Mandela Effect, and it is one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. And I find conspiracy theories very interesting. I believe in a lot of conspiracies, such as the Illuminati. I do basically, and when it comes to that, I just believe that there are rich, powerful people trying to take over the world and being very successful at it. And one of the ways they're doing this is by dumbing people down to the level of just bricks. And I can only assume they're behind the latest in this retardation, which they're calling the Mandela Effect. I'm gonna call it the retardation effect. People are worse than brick stupid. People are the dumbest they have ever been, and this is now a manifestation of that. People knew people were getting dumber over time. Our education system is shit with the standardized testing. George Bush started the No Child Left Behind shit. How long ago was that? 2000. I mean, we're going on 2001, so that's like 15 years of just the worst school program ever. And now you're having people that grew up in this horrible education system, and we're seeing the retardation effect. And it is in just it's going full steam. I assume you know what it is if you found this video, but if you haven't, basically it's people remembering things wrong and then attribute it to enter X being whatever they want to make out to be the bad guy. I'm a Christian, but some are saying it's the devil is changing reality. I saw a very horrible video very recently where they said the devil was changing the Bible because they didn't understand the fact that there's different translations of the Bible. They didn't understand that sometimes prayers in church prayer books will be slightly different than the words in the Bible they come from. For example, both the Lord's Prayer and the Hail Mary are in Scripture. They can be found in the Gospels. The Hail Mary is given when it's the angel Gabriel announcing to the Virgin that she will give birth to Christ. And the Lord's Prayer is given by Christ when he is asked by his disciples how they should pray. There are different translations, not only of Bibles, but there are different translations, more importantly, of prayer books. I remember the Orthodox Church, and there's also the Roman Catholic Church. Both make up the majority of Christians in the world, and both use prayer books. And there are different translations of these prayer books. Now, in the Orthodox Church, there's even more translations because the Roman Catholic Church being stuck on the one language of Latin for so long, while the Orthodox Church has been more about translating scriptures and prayers into the language of the people so they know what they're praying. That's another topic. But that's the reason why there are different versions of these prayers. And the morons in this video, they just could not wrap their head around the fact that there were different translations. And I forget. Okay, then I was trying to find the name of the video. It's 3 Minutes to Midnight, Episode 19, The Mandela Effect to the Bible. It's just awful for any Christian that's actually studied Christianity, the church, scripture. the canonization of Scripture, anything, anyway that's even just read the Bible, it's going to just be a total insult to you. And the people, they don't even know what they're talking about. At one point, the guy says, I'm not even sure if the Our Father is in the Bible. He doesn't even know that much. He's never read the thing. But he's 100% concerned that the devil has been changing his Bible. Some other effects, some other examples, of the Mandela Effect. There's just been some very funny ones. Berenstain Bears is one of the more popular ones. Apparently, sometimes it's spelled with an E at the end, and sometimes it's spelled with an A. Berenstain. It's basically pronounced the same way. It just matters that these are Jewish bears. But yeah, you can look up different sources and you'll see that it's spelled both ways. It's just a thing where people misspelled it because it's a strange name already, because it's Berenstain. It already is kind of misspelled because it has the word bear in it. So they took a Jewish name like Goldstein or whatever, and they put Berenstain at the front of it. So it's kind of a weird name already because it's made up. So people spelled it wrong. Go figure. You can find different examples of it being spelled wrong or different ways on the internet. I don't know which way was the original. It doesn't matter. Some people spell it one way, some people spell it another. That one I like just because, it's kind of cute. I grew up with those books. Next on the list was... This one is my favorite so far because it's the most batshit insane. And it's a guy who is talking about the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. And he shows a very strange clip of the Brady kids dressed up as characters from The Wizard of Oz, and they're singing a song. They're singing the Car Wash song, actually, because that was a very popular disco song at the time. And the 70s are very well known, if you know about pop culture, for their variety shows. They would take a popular TV show, like the Brady Bunch, for example, and they would make an hour-long variety show out of it. And this was done to countless TV shows had a variety hour, and it was just the worst. It was the worst thing in the world. They failed miserably, and it's no surprise that people don't remember these things, because they were awful. First of all, if you saw it, if a person who lived through the 70s saw this show, their subconscious mind immediately wanted to suppress it. You don't want to remember the bad shit. You want to remember the good shit. You remember the episodes of the Brady Bunch you liked, like why does Marsha get the socks, and who broke my lamp, don't play basketball in the house, Jan's wig. You remember the great parts of the show. You don't remember the darkest, lowest pit that the TV executives made these children do for money and ratings and whatever. But yes, the Brady Bunch Variety Hour was before my time. I got into the Brady Bunch in the 90s when the movie came out. I was about a teenager then. And yeah, there was I don't know if Nick and Night showed reruns of the variety show. But I know they definitely showed reruns of the actual show. But I saw, and I taped a documentary off of TV that talked about the variety show, and also how the Brady kids went on tour as like a musical talent show thing like they were doing in the show. They performed some songs on the show, so they made like a Brady Bunch fake concert thing, like the like the Muppets on Ice crap and the Ninja Turtles music tour, and my God, it like there's gonna be people out there that they're gonna see footage of the Ninja Turtles concerts, and they're gonna say, "What the hell? This never happened. I would have remembered this. This can't be for real. This is so bad." And here's the rub. Yes, there was a Ninja Turtle tour where they pretended to play music and they sang these horrible, vanilla, early 90s songs. It's like picture Vanilla Ice, but even whiter. So that's just an example where I know if I made a video of the Ninja Turtles on tour and I put Mandela Effect in it and I said, dude, this shit never happened, you would have remembered this, I would have remembered this. It's called Turtles Coming Out of Our Shell Tour, and the Turtles pretend to play musical instruments, and it's a fake documentary made about it, and they say that the Turtles play with 3 strings because it's easier for them, and no, it's real. And the Brady Bunch Variety Hour is real as well. And it's just, that one was just really funny. He also introduces us to the concept of an early 90s, I think it was 1990, he said, Fox family show called The Brady's. And it's, it's just very poor, looks very low budget, and looks very late 80s, early 90s, which that was a very awkward time in pop culture. Like I just said, like with the Ninja Turtles out around the same time, Vanilla Ice, Nickelodeon had some shows like Clarissa Explains It All, and I just remember the early 90s, Home Alone, all that. It was just like an awkward time for pop culture. Saved by the Bell. Like the 90s didn't, like pop culture just didn't have a way to go because 80s culture was stale and there was like nothing to turn to after that. So it took a while for things like grunge, Nirvana, even though Nirvana was very early 90s, it took a while to become ubiquitous. It took a while for other bands to copy that style of music. It took a while for the rap of the 80s, which was more lighthearted, I won't lie, kind of corny, even though I do like old school rap. It had, like, rap was in its infancy, hadn't became fleshed out yet. So, rap culture is very awkward in this time period as well. You get the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air from the same period, he was a actual rapper, had a rapping career, released a couple albums, and I'm digressing, but he had a song called Nightmare on My Street, which was about the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger franchise, and I bet if I made a video saying that this never existed, a Fresh Prince actually made a rap album about Nightmare on Elm Street, that's impossible. I would have people saying, I remember this either, bro. This is freaky Mandela Effect shit. And it's not. This reminds me of when the Andy Kaufman biopic came out starring Jim Carrey in very late 90s. Man on the Moon was its title. And they started showing documentaries about Andy Kaufman, and so I would videotape these, and I really fell in love with the guy and was trying to get as much footage of him as possible. And there's the part where he became a pro wrestler. He's not the only celebrity to do this. Cyndi Lauper also became a pro wrestler in the 80s. In the 70s, what do you know? Andy Kaufman became a pro wrestler. He wrestled Jerry Lawler. And he wasn't a regular by any means, but he wrestled in a few wrestling matches. Same as Cyndi Lauper. Not a regular thing, but it's something they did. Where you get a celebrity and put him in the wrestling ring, They had celebrity boxing, and then they had like an MTV knockoff called Celebrity Deathmatch. So the idea has been done quite a bit. And sorry for digressing, but my point is that I was watching the video of Andy Kaufman wrestling Jerry Lawler, and my mom said, this is crazy. I don't remember any of this. Where was I at when this was going on? This is a long time ago. This is around 2000 when the movie came out, or 1999 when the movie came out. So this is an example of that. You're not going to remember everything that happens in pop culture during your lifetime, and you're going to remember a lot of things wrong. And this does get to some kind of spooky actual theories, if there's actual science and actual creative interpretations of this, which you would call the Mandela Effect. It's very interesting how our mind creates false memories and how we remember things wrong. And if that's all it was, I would say, this is funny, this is interesting, because it's interesting to a point where I did watch a few videos, and I was looking for some more, I was looking for some better ones, but not believing it for a second, only enjoying it because I do enjoy a good conspiracy theory. And I'm just speechless at this point. I lost track of what I was saying, but people are making these videos, and the scary part is the people in the comment section of these videos, and they are just pure sheep, believing this, actually believing in this Mandela Effect. And the point I was getting to earlier was what's behind the Mandela Effect, and that's like where you enter your X equals or whatever. So if a person is a Christian or pretending to be a Christian, they will say that the devil's behind the Mandela Effect. There's also, not always, but that's just one example. There's also, I've seen CERN being the cause of it in several videos, mentioning that it's CERN doing it. And yeah, CERN is weird. I'm not gonna say that I believe everything about CERN is only up and up, and it's not dangerous, and it's not weird, and that you can trust the scientists in CERN 100% on what their experiments are, because I don't believe that. But here's the thing: anything like a secret society or a science program like CERN that's very clandestine, it's just ripe for a good conspiracy theory, because you have people that are intentionally doing things in secret And because it's so mysterious, you can make it the butt of any conspiracy theory, you know? Just like I believe the Masons are basically occultist devil worshippers based on the research I've done. But here's one of the deals is that very few Freemasons know that. It's like Scientology. You know, what you've heard about Scientology, which if you have heard about Scientology, you've probably heard the South Park thing with the aliens being blown up in a volcano and their souls attach themselves to mankind, and they're responsible for all mankind's faults, mental disorders, whatever. And here's the deal. Very few Scientologists actually believe this. Because you have had, by the time they tell you this, you have spent a lot of money in their pyramid scheme. And it has taken you many years to go through all the different levels they have. By this point, you're considered a clear because you've removed all your body thetans, and very, very few Scientologists can ever even claim to have reached this point. But, you know, the sad thing is that there are people, I know of one case in particular, one of the first people, this woman was declared clear, and I think she committed suicide later on, or something. It was very sad. And this might be another digression, but basically what I'm saying is you can make a group like the Freemasons the butt of any conspiracy theory, even though I too believe they're up to no good. That doesn't mean you can believe everything that is said about them, because people will say anything. Same with CERN. It's just like the perfect thing, you know? Blame it on CERN and say that there's an alternate reality, and somehow CERN put us in an alternate reality. And it goes even deeper than that. You know, I haven't seen all the details. Another guy seemed to be putting forth the idea that we're in a matrix like the movie The Matrix, and that the people in charge of this matrix, or the machines, whatever, are intentionally changing reality just to mess with us, mess with our minds. And here's the deal. Here's how to get a really good conspiracy theory off the ground. Make sure it's creepy, because that's why I found the Mandela Effect intriguing. That's why I watched several videos. Not because I believed it, but because it was an intriguing idea. And I wanted to learn more about it. It only led me to anger and me wasting my time recording this monologue, but it was a good waste of a morning, a Memorial Day morning. At this point, I don't have too much more to say. You know, get out there, watch some of these videos yourself, have a good laugh. And then, if you're like me, you might get a little depressed afterwards because people actually believe this stuff. It's just, there's a lot more examples you're gonna find. Here's another one that is not even interesting at all, and it's people remembering movie quotes wrong. And here's the deal with movie quotes. People just remember them wrong. That's all there is to it. Because in every example, the movie quote is altered in a way that makes more sense out of context than it does in the context of the movie. If a person says something in the film, one of the examples is Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father." Well, everyone seems to remember as Luke, "I am your father." Makes perfect sense. "No, I am your father," out of context, makes no damn sense. "Luke, I am your father," makes perfect sense. It's often said in the Darth Vader voice. You know it's Darth Vader speaking, and you're saying, "Luke, I am your father." You know the character Luke. You know it's Darth Vader saying it. You know it's Darth Vader telling Luke he's your father. The big reveal twist in The Empire Strikes Back that everyone knows now, unfortunately, but when people saw it for the first time, I can imagine that was an awesome twist. Because you have, just one of the perfect villains. In fiction history, at least contemporary fiction history, he's an excellent villain. And to have him be the father of the hero, it's just a great reveal. Another one is "Play It Again, Sam" from Casablanca. And I discovered this myself because I always heard "Play It Again, Sam" growing up. I didn't even know what it was from. I just heard people saying it. Eventually I saw the movie Casablanca and was surprised. He doesn't say "Play it again, Sam." He says "Play it, Sam." Something like "Play it for me. Play as time goes by." "Play it again, Sam" is, once again, it's a truncation of the actual movie quotes. Because first of all, you don't want to say 3 or 4 lines from a movie. It's lost its catchiness at that point. You morph it all together, you put it down in a very small sentence, "Play it again, Sam," as meaning, it's to the point, and it's just a paraphrase of what was actually said. It's accurate. And "Play It Again, Sam" might have actually came from the Woody Allen film of the same name that was made in the 70s, where it's not really a parody of Casablanca, but it's Woody Allen using Casablanca as a humor device. And the name of the movie, like I said before, is "Play It Again, Sam," which might have entered the collective consciousness of mankind, because it's like Citizen Kane. Everyone knows about Citizen Kane, but maybe 1% out of mankind has actually seen Citizen Kane. You ask people what the best movie of all time is, I'm not lying. Nowadays you might have people say the latest Vin Diesel movie or something, because people are so dumbed down, so retarded. The latest Adam Sandler movie, you might even have somebody say Jack and Jill, and that was the best movie ever. But if you speak to an intelligent person, they're going to say Casablanca, Citizen Kane, or Gone with the Wind, one of the classics, one of the big 3 or 4. Also Wizard of Oz, which was around the same time, and also connects to the Brady Bunch skit that was used as an example. And here's the point I was trying to make earlier and got off topic, was the guy who made the Brady Bunch Variety Hour show, the skit he found or chose, it was just batshit insane. It was creepy looking. If he had just shown a very boring song or performance or a skit from the Brady Bunch variety show, it wouldn't come across that interesting. He had to find something that was provocative, something that caught your attention, something that was basically like a mindfuck moment. He found the weirdest thing possible, so people can say, WTF. Already they get a creepy feeling because it's a creepy video. So at that point, you've already got them on the line. You've already got the person wanting to believe. Another one. This isn't a Mandela Effect, but this is another popular conspiracy theory. And this is actually the very first conspiracy theory I ever was made aware of. And that's the Paul is dead rumor from the Beatles. And I first heard about this rumor because when I discovered the Beatles in 1996, I think Anthology 2 came out. I discovered the Beatles and quickly became my favorite band. They're not now, but they were at the time. And we happened to have a Beatles convention held very close to our area. It was always held far away, in a bigger city, but something happened. They ended up in this small city near where I live. And I got to go to this Beatles convention, and the guy who so-called discovered the Paul is dead rumor conspiracy theory was there and gave a presentation. This is my first time. I love the Beatles, and I'm introduced to this new concept for the very first time. Paul died in a car crash, and there are hints throughout most of the Beatles catalog to this. And I walked out believing it hook, line, and sinker. And even today, although I don't believe Paul died, I do say yes, there are secret messages in the Beatles cover art and songs. Whether they're just there for a lark, whether they're there to intentionally provoke conversation, which spreads popularity of the band through word of mouth. Another very good theory. They invented the Paul is dead rumor themselves. They put these fake clues in. You get people talking about it. People start buying your music and your albums again. It's just an idea. It's very different motives that these messages are in their work. So, when you have something that's creepy like that, like Paul being dead, and you find these creepy images in the artwork, you play parts of the song backwards, and you distinctly hear them say Paul is dead, and you hold a mirror up to the Sgt. Pepper album, and you can see the word he die with an arrow pointing to Paul, and it's just very thought-provoking, and it's very creepy, so it gets your attention, gets you talking. That's why I'm talking about this, but actually, the bigger reason why I'm talking about this is just because of how dumb people are. I mean, I'm seriously calling this the retardation effect. Because just people are believing in this because they have been so dumbed down. They're not taught history, they're not taught geography. One of the examples was people don't know, Americans or people in general don't know there's 50 states. They think there's 51 or 52 states. It blows my mind. Apparently they're not alone. I remember the Obama speech when he first became president, or it was on the campaign trail. I think it was on campaign trail, because he said they've been to all 57 states, and they still had a couple to go. That was the best part. Still have a couple to go. So I guess that means he thought there were 59 states. I don't know. To be honest, I would have said it was a funny mistake on his part. He just misspoke. You know, I might bring up the 57 states to make fun of him, but at the same time, I would have thought, yeah, he probably just misspoke. You're going to misspeak, and then people are going to play the gotcha game and take stuff you say and use it to make fun of you when you're in politics. But now with this new information about people thinking there's 52 states, 51 states, how Obama might have thought there were more. He might have thought there were around 57, 59 states. If people are that dumbed down that they don't know how many states there are in the United States, and they live there, nothing surprises me anymore. Look, I don't know everything about geography. I couldn't name you all capitals in all 50 states. I'm not that perfect. Whatever. But I still know the basics. I mean, to not know the just most fundamental basics of how many states are in your own country. And instead of saying, man, I'm an idiot. Where were my school teachers? Why wasn't I studying? If they did teach me this, where was I in class? And if they didn't teach me this, why are we still funding these schools? Why are we still using George Bush's failed No Child Left Behind school curriculum? I mean, it's just... It all comes down to the stupidity of the average American. And I just say American because I don't know about other countries. I can only speak for my own country. And also, I would expect someone in Croatia not to know how many states are in America. I don't know how many states are in Croatia, or if there are even anything similar to a state in Croatia. So I don't expect people outside of America to know. But I do expect Americans to know there are 50 states. Sorry, I went on a little long on that one, but that one was just one of the dumbest. Another thing is people just remembering logos wrong. Like company corporate logos. They're changed all the time. All the time. They almost come out with a new look, a new logo, a new marketing scheme every year. I remember when I was a kid in the 80s, Pepsi, Coke, they had the same logo. Didn't change. For years, did not change. Then all of a sudden, early 90s, I remember Pepsi changing its logo. And that seemed to be like the catalyst. Like after that, companies, the soda brands, other brands of food started just changing their name and logo and their packaging very regularly, very quickly. And from a marketing standpoint, I believe that's to keep you excited about the product. It's to make the product seem new. You don't want people that are, I'm bored of Coke, I'm bored of Pepsi, maybe I might try something else. But you change the packaging, it looks new to them. That's my theory behind it, I don't know. but I know it has nothing to do with X marks the spot, whatever. Aliens, UFOs, spirit, supernatural forces, CERN. I know that has nothing to do with that. And I am very open-minded. When the flat earth thing came out, I watched some videos. I was interested in it because it's a very new and exciting concept. Hey, maybe the earth really is flat. So I'm very open-minded. At the end of the day, I balanced what I heard from both sides, and those who believe in the globe earth have a more consistent and believable theory than those who believe in the flat earth. There's just very little proof. So this is the first. So it's not like I'm not open-minded, but this, just from the beginning, I knew it was just complete bullshit. Because, it's the fact that I have studied things. I've studied pop culture, I've studied history. I'm very much into pop culture. I'm very much a pop culture buff. More nostalgic, so they're not modern pop culture, which is just awful raping of pop culture, where you have things like the Kardashians, where these people have done nothing to become celebrities, yet they're celebrities just because they have name recognition. It's awful. So yes, I know about the different changes in logos. I know about the changes in movie quotes, and I know about the rare TV shows and things such as the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, and there's also a Brady Bunch cartoon that had a flying, talking bird in it. And I'm sure if you took the cartoon footage of the flying, talking bird, you could use the same argument. You would say, I do not remember this, and I love the Brady Bunch. What the hell? It was not a Brady Bunch cartoon. You could do it with anything that's obscure. Anything. You can do it with any movie quote. It's just awful. If you want to look at it from a psychological perspective, look into why we think these things, that's awesome. But if you want to look into it because you think that reality is being manipulated somehow or in an alternate universe because your box of Pringles looks different, that makes me sad for mankind, and that also makes me sad for my own future, because I know that the dumbing down of America is going to lead to a lot of problems in the world. And this is like the birth pangs of it, because we're only getting dumber from here on out. I can't I can't imagine what's next. If it started with trying to tell people that Earth is flat, what is next? Because this Mandela Effect, this blows the flat Earth out of the water when it comes to stupidity. At least I thought that was an interesting idea worth investigating. This is just trash. This is just the dumbest people on Earth, and they have to be millennials that have just been in this No Child Left Behind horrible school system, and their faces in an iPhone all day, that believe this. Older people might say, I lived in the 70s and I didn't see that variety special. Yeah, it's because you didn't see it, so you don't remember it. Or if you did remember it, it did not make an impact on you enough for you to remember it. The guy's argument was, I would have seen this and I would have remembered it. Which is just not true, especially back in the 70s. On the one hand, you only had a handful of stations, maybe like 5, I don't know. There, you had ABC, CBS, I think NBC, I think were the first 3, and it really wasn't until like Fox took off in the 80s when they started adding new channels. I mean, it's insane. So on one hand, you could say that because there were only 3 or so channels, that it was more likely that you would have seen the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. On that hand, I'd agree. But, on the other hand, I would say that people they did more than sit around and watch TV back then. Also, there weren't VCRs back then. There were some crude methods of taping shows off of television, but not very common. You were probably pretty wealthy if you had them. So for the most part, the average person did not have a way to record television shows. VCR came out in the very late 70s, and TiVo, of course, TVR, recording off of television digitally, came out much, much later than that. VCRs lasted a good 2 decades. So, but before that, you did not have the means of recording television shows. That means if you were not around the house, if your bedtime was 8 o'clock and the Brady Bunch Variety Hour was on at 9, you didn't see the show. Once the show aired, it was gone for good. Some television shows that were very popular were put into reruns. Syndication. A horrible, horrible show like the Brady Bunch Variety Hour would never be played again in a rerun or syndication unless it was during when the Brady Bunch movie came out in 1995 and you were trying to give an honest retrospective of the Brady Bunch. In that case, you would put it on. You would not put it on for public consumption because it was garbage. It was an embarrassment, and so many of these TV shows were garbage embarrassments that have been buried. So many movies have been buried. Even good movies. So you can imagine the bad movies. I mean, I could say, did you know that while Bill Cosby was on top of the world with The Cosby Show, that he made a horrible movie called Leonard Part 6 where he rides an ostrich through an exploding background? You'd say, hell no, I didn't know about that. And I could say, that's because it's the Mandela Effect. That movie never existed. They just brought it into existence. That's why you don't remember it. And the logic of it is just awful. If we're in an alternate reality where Leonard Part 6 exists, then you're going to have memories of Leonard Part 6. That's the quirky thing about the theory of alternate universes or the time machine. Actually, the time machine concept. I'm surprised that I haven't heard that argument because I often wonder about the possibility of a time machine. First of all, if it is possible to build a time machine, and will exist in the future, then the time machine has always existed. Because if we ever get to the point where we can build a time machine and go back in time, history can be altered in a million different ways. So thus, if a time machine will exist in the future, if it's possible, then it already exists, because people can use that time machine to come to our time. So that's just another that's food for thought, So it's a wonder I haven't heard anybody say that it's people going back in time and the Brady Bunch Friday Hour never existed because they just went back in a time machine and made the damn thing. That's why you don't remember it. But that's the rub of the whole situation. If reality changes, your memories of reality would change too. If Forrest Gump said life is like a box of chocolates in the movie, then that's what our memory of it would be. So the real quote happens to be life was like a box of chocolates. So we remembered it wrong. I remember it wrong. I thought it was life is like a box of chocolates too. You rewatch it and he says life was like a box of chocolates. It's been 20 damn years since I've seen that movie. I saw it a lot. When that movie came out, I watched it almost daily. We rented it and loved it so much. And the next day in school, after I saw it for the first time, after we rented it, they showed it in school the very next day. That movie was like a game changer. And I remember when it first came out. This is back when they had video rental places. And I know I'm digressing, but this is a fun story. Video stores where you would rent the tapes. So videotapes, they're already bulky, more bulkier than DVDs. You can't keep them in a sleeve somewhere. They're a big cassette tape. And what they would do was they would put out the cardboard, or in some cases plastic container, put it on a shelf, and if that's the movie you wanted to rent, you would take the box up to the counter and they would get the movie for you. Or another way is they would have the box with the box art and everything, and then behind it they would have a plastic clamshell with the actual VHS tape in it, and you would take the actual VHS tape up and check it out. So when a movie, a huge blockbuster like Forrest Gump came out, the little mom and pop shop down the road literally had about 50 copies, and they were all out for, I don't know, a good couple weeks after the film was on VHS. It was that popular. So, we eventually bought a copy for ourselves, and, I must have watched it almost every day. I loved that movie. But then I stopped liking that movie because it got old, and I got older. I was like 15 when the movie came out. At 16, I moved on to other things. That's kind of what you do in life, there's some things that stick with you, like, throughout your whole life, that you'll love and cherish throughout your whole life, that you enjoyed as a kid, and some things you won't. Some things you just love as a kid, and then you grow up and you move past it. But that's one of the reasons why I remember things wrong, in cases like Forrest Gump. I loved it, I watched it 100 times. But then I stopped watching it for 20 years. And then when you see the scene again, it's not how you remembered it. It's slightly different. And in this case, I think it's more of a matter of just correcting it in your own mind. I gave the example of truncating a phrase earlier in order to make the movie quote more palatable. But in this case, it's more or less we're correcting the grammar, because for Forrest to say life was like a box of chocolates, it's a mistake. It's a grammar mistake. The correct way to say that is life is like a box of chocolates. Because not only was his life still current, but life in general is still current. So he said was past tense because his mother used to say life was like a box of chocolates. They made a mistake by using the word was because it was past, the sentence was past tense, but the quote wasn't. She should have been, my mama always used to say life is like a box of chocolates. So we corrected that in our minds. And you go back to a movie you haven't seen in 20 years, and it's slightly different. And it seems wrong, because it is wrong. They messed up when they wrote the script and nobody corrected it. But we corrected it in our collective memory. Others to it. Very, very thought-provoking theory. That's why I watched a few of these videos and I decided to record this, because it's very thought-provoking. But the dark side of it is, I think some of these videos are just intentionally misleading people, and that's for views and for whatever other agenda, and that's just wrong. And I think, I'm going to end this video on that. It's just, if you're a person that's spreading this or another conspiracy theory that you know is wrong, you know it's something you made up, you know it's something you're exaggerating, what you're doing is wrong, because there are true conspiracies out there, and you're making everybody look like idiots that believe anything that's not mainstream news. Anything that's not on the Alphabet channel, if you have an alternate view of things, you're going to be looked on as crazy, as a nutcase, as a tinfoil hat wearer, conspiracy theorist. And I think that's the main goal, is that our government does not want people questioning them. They want to give out their official explanation and their official news story, and you are going to believe that news story. And right now, if you do not believe in their narrative, you're going to get made fun of. But they're starting to make new laws where if you disagree with the narrative, you will be punished. If you are someone in Germany or other places of Europe who does not believe in the official story of the Holocaust, you can be imprisoned for 20 years, I believe. I might have the number of years wrong, but I believe it's 20, and that's a crime. That's a crime against humanity. That's a crime against an individual's ability to think and reason for himself. And you can take whether or not the Holocaust really happened out of the equation, because that's not the point. The point is they created a narrative, is that they presented a narrative in the Holocaust. And if you speak out against that narrative, you will go to prison for a long time. That's the part you should be scary about. I'm not scared of somebody that doesn't believe in the Holocaust. They can't threaten me. I am scared of a government that will put you in prison for going against their narrative. And we are seeing the beginnings of that in the United States with things like this Mandela Effect. They're trying to change the way people think. They're trying to make people doubt reality. What happens when you make a person doubt reality? You can make them believe anything. And I brought up Scientology earlier. This is how cults work. In order to make a cult member, you have to realize that your subject that you want to make a cult member has a certain set of beliefs that he's had his whole life. Now what you do is you present information to this person. Usually the person has to already be a bit confused about life in general. They might, they might be questioning the religion they were grown up with, or they might be questioning their goal in life, having a midlife crisis or whatever. They might just have a very bad life, so they're looking for answers. And what you do when you want to make a cult member out of this person is you disassemble their reality, because each individual creates his or her own reality. So what you do is you make that person doubt the reality they were given. It's like programming and deprogramming somebody. We're all given a program from birth. By the way we're raised, by the media we're subjected to, by our culture. A lot of things contribute to it. So if you want to make a cult member, you start breaking down the person's program. If a person believes in Christianity, you start throwing things out that make them doubt Christianity. You might start making movies like the Da Vinci Code, for example, that make you doubt the official biblical narrative of Jesus Christ, the historic figure. So you begin just chipping away at the person's worldview. If the person has a more right-leaning, conservative viewpoint, you would chip away by revealing the faulty thinking that's in a conservative viewpoint. Same with a liberal viewpoint, because they both have flaws. There's no perfect political party or agenda, and that's another way how they divided and conquered us in America, the left-right paradigm. That's a whole other subject. But that's the basic idea, is you present truths. They can be actual truths, but they can also be half-truths that make a person doubt their reality. And then you can create and once you disassemble a person's cognitive reality, you're the hypnotist, you're the person in power that can give them a new reality, a new program, because you're the one that disassembled their worldview. Now they're scared, because the worldview they thought was real, the world they thought was real, the universe they thought was real, is now not, because you presented evidence against it, whether it was actual evidence, whether it was lies, or whether it was half-truths. They no longer believe it. And now, since you're the one that had the power to deprogram them, you have the power to program them. And that is the essential goal of things like the Mandela Effect. Get people to doubt their worldview, doubt their memories, rewrite history. And we're already at the point where you can alter history very easily. Because, first of all, very few people read actual history books. And by that, I mean actual historians. I know H.G. Wells wrote A History of the World. There's the Jewish author Josephus, who wrote A History of the World. There's I forget his name. There's an archbishop, but an archbishop in the Roman Catholic Church wrote A History of the World. There's the histories by Herodotus. There's Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger. Of course, you have the Bible. You have. I know I'm missing a couple of really big ones. So I apologize about that, but that's the idea. Nobody reads these anymore. So people don't read books to get their history. Where are they going? One of these places is television, which you would go to the History Channel. It's hard to read a book. It takes time. It takes effort. Sometimes you just might want to sit in front of the tube. So what do they have on the History Channel right now? You already know what I'm going to say, because it's on all the time, 24/7. Ancient astronauts, ancient aliens. It's probably on the History Channel as I speak, because today's Memorial Day. It's a holiday. They don't miss a holiday because they know you will be in front of the tube. They know that you and your family will be in front of the tube, and they want to program you. That's another ironic thing. It's called television programming. I don't know where the actual origin of that term came from, but I certainly see the double meaning there. And unfortunately, I don't have the quotes with me, but I have seen quotes where people have said television and Hollywood, their only purpose is to change the views of the citizens. That's their entire purpose. You think that they're there to entertain you, but they're not. They're there to give you a message. They want to convert you to a way of thinking. And yes, money is, hey, the root of all evil. They want ratings, they want money, they want sponsors to buy their products. It was the earliest thing with television was the sponsors, and it's more tactful today. You have a commercial break, and everybody is used to commercial breaks. We've had them since we can remember. I was born in 81, so I'm used to it. You're used to watching TV and being interrupted every 5 minutes with commercials and nostalgic commercials that I grew up with. I love nostalgic commercials. They warm the cockles of your heart. What can I say? And here's a funny thing. Go on YouTube and watch a commercial from a different country. Watch a TV show from a different country. Especially in a different language or something. And you think, this is horrible. How could, this is sad that this is all they have for entertainment. We've got the best movies and TV in the world, and they're stuck with this second-rate stuff. But here's the deal. They might see your stuff and think the same thing. They might see their cartoon characters, their commercials, and think that's normal, that's actually good and entertaining, while you look at it and you think that's awful. It has a lot to do with the culture you grow up in and what you're given. So, hope I haven't strayed off topic too much, but I thought that still linked in with the topic. So, yes, if you are considering this Mandela Effect, only see it as an interesting psychological study. Don't look at it as something like a crazy supernatural conspiracy where they're creating new timelines for us to live in and stuff. It doesn't even make sense. If we lived in an alternate timeline, we would have memories only of that timeline. I know alternate realities, alternate timelines and stuff is a scientific theory. It's one I don't subscribe to, but it is an actual theory that people have, and that's awesome. But to take it and run with it in a way that confuses people, it's just wrong. So yeah, watch these videos for a laugh, watch them for the interesting concept, but downvote them and downvote the comments that support this crap. Put in your own comments, reveal the truth to these people. Um, it's all you can do. This is not Mandela Effect is not going to be the last in these psychological operations, government psyops, which is what I believe it is. Same with Flat Earth, where they're trying to get you to disbelieve reality you've been given so they can then replace it with their new programming. So I hope I was concise in making this argument in this video. This is the first time doing one of these, and I look forward to making a lot more. Actually, I don't look forward to it because I just wish this stuff would stop, but I know it's going to get worse, so I know I had to start now. And if I see more interesting videos on this, I'm gonna record it and get some stuff off my chest. And I know my channel is small, but hopefully it grows, and hopefully I can just influence some people to, yes, be open to conspiracy theories, but please, do research and question this stuff because they're not only trying to make you look dumb, they have an agenda. Make you disbelieve reality, rewrite history, create a new world order. That's their game plan. So, if you're with me this long, thanks a lot for listening to this, and keep up the good fight. Don't give up, don't give in to this nonsense. Thank you.